Genesis starts off a bang and states, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and the darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters." In a very broad understanding, you can take that to be an attempt at understanding something like the Big Bang Theory, since even today, it's difficult to model without complex creations of math. It is an attempt to make what would be unknowable something to approximate an understanding of. Humans like to think of themselves as being much more advanced today than humans were in the distant past, but that's human arrogance. There was just as much innovation as today as it is in our nature. The origins of reality are still something that humans are trying to figure out. We want to know what we are. Later on, we read about how God creates humanity, and it states, "Then God said, 'Let us make humankind in our image, in the likeness of ourselves, and let them rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, the animals, and over all the earth, and over every crawling creature that crawls on the earth.'" Notice the us. This shows that this story has been taken and transformed a multitude of gods to a single God. And further on we read, "Then the Lord God formed a man out of the dust of the earth, and he breathed his breath of life into his nostrils, and man became a living creature." Keep this in mind as we explore myths that are related, such as the Babylonian Enuma Elish and Sumerian creature myths. They seem to stem from a common source. That makes sense considering that in the early books of the Bible, they were the same area and influencing each other. Where, however, would they learn of something as complex as the origins of the universe? And why would they try to pass it in that particular knowledge down even encoded in myth? This is actually the true question. In one of our more recent videos, Lost Ancient Super Civilizations and Their Physical Remains, we discussed some of the more tantalizing places and things found and what they could mean for the search for a lost civilization. But what if what we seek goes back to the myths they had, and it was knowledge that they gained through their encounters in altered states of consciousness? If so, there's not exactly going to be proof. There could, however, be clues that we are missing in the very myths we're about to look at. Sumerian myths of creation. Sumer is one of the oldest known cultures, dating back to 6000 BCE. It is located in what is now known as Iraq, and frequently called the cradle of civilization. It is known for its very early writing, irrigation, the first written laws, and many other things. Although there are many Sumerian creature myths, one of the most well-documented is the Eridu Genesis. It was found in the city of Nippur on a single tablet. Historian Thorkil Jacobson was the first person to note just how important the tablet it was. Eventually, the tablet was dated to around 1600 BCE. The story begins in the city of Eridu, which is one of the earliest Sumerian cities. Located near modern-day Bosra, close to the coast of the Persian Gulf, the city is theorized to have been populated by three cultures that fused together. These three cultures were peasant farmers, Semitic nomads, and fishermen. Note the Semitic nomads, since they are the ones that go on to write the Bible. The god Enki and the goddess Ninmah collaborate with other gods to create humans. Now remember how in the book of Genesis, God used clay. Well, here it is the goddess Ninmah who uses the clay, but it is also how humans are created. Unfortunately, the actual lines of text can only be inferred from other associated myths, such as the Babylonian Enuma Elish, since that part of the tablet has never been found. The Babylonian Angle and the Enuma Elish. The Enuma Elish was found by Austin Henry Layard, who was an English archaeologist, in 1849 in the library of Ashurbanipal in Nineveh, which is in modern-day Mosul in Iraq. It is about 1,009 that have been collected on 7 tablets and mostly complete. The particular version dates to 700 BCE, although most scholars feel that the actual story dates to at least 2000 BCE. The myth. In the beginning, before the heavens and the earth existed, there were only one god, Apsu, and one goddess, Tiamat. They were the god of fresh water and the goddess of salt water. They mixed their waters and created a whole pantheon of gods. Apsu, however, realizes that they plan to kill him and take his throne, so he declares war on them and is killed. Enraged by this fact, Tiamat wages war against her husband's killers, taking the form of a huge sea dragon. Then a god named Marduk offered to avenge Apsu in exchange for having power over all gods and goddesses. He eventually won and had absolute power, but rebelled against Tiamat. She was killed by Marduk, who was armed with a net, 4 winds, and a host of weapons, drawn on a chariot by 4 horses that knew no fatigue. Marduk dismembered Tiamat's body in 2, and the role of God created heaven and earth from it. Finally, he came to the people, whom he created from the blood of the god in clay. You can see the biblical parallels. Interestingly, these tablets also talk about the Ons, who were fishermen and their version of people who came from far away and taught humans what they knew. So where does this leave us? With a lot of very interesting avenues to explore. As stated, you can easily see how Genesis comes from the same mythological background as the Sumerian and the Babylonian creation myths. Let's take a look at these similarities, one at a time though. The creation of the heavens and the earth. So in the Enuma Elish, you have multiple gods versus one god, but other than that, that's it, pretty close approximation of the same myth. It's all an allegory, though, to explain something that is in conjecture even today. Eventually, some physicists will come up with a theory to supplement the Big Bang that hopefully gets even closer to the truth, but even when it happens to allegory, will remain the same. The creation of people. The main difference is in what the gods contributed to our makeup to make us more than clay. Our divine spark comes from either blood or breath, according to these myths. This is to show that while humans should have some sort of dominion over the other animals, not enough to be considered divine, so we owe the gods worship, since obviously they controlled more of reality than we could. Since there is this parallel tradition of beings who came and taught us what they know, it is clear that someone wanted to make sure humans listened. Now that could be aliens that created human-alien hybrids. It could be more advanced humans that fled a catastrophe. We just don't know. There is evidence in both directions. What seems clear though is that the latter myths tell us that humans quickly escaped their control, and at least some of them sought to destroy what they had created by a great flood. There isn't space here to do more than lightly touch upon the angle of history, but what the myths tell us is that some gods helped us escape their fate, and some were in favor of wiping humans out. Even in the Bible, where the myth is condensed into one God, it's largely convoluted since God is going to destroy us, but then He's going to save us. So the flood myth must have been too important to let go of entirely. It serves as a warning to humanity not to entirely trust in the goodwill of the gods. It also serves as a warning to humanity not to trust the reality or nature will remain in static, ever-unchanging state, and we must be prepared for rapid and total change. The rapid and total change might just be the ultimate lesson to be learned in these stories. Humans are obviously more than just the other animals. Even our closest relatives, chimpanzees and bonobos, which share 98.7% of our DNA, don't have a Mozart or an Einstein. They exist still in the wild, still waiting for that spark. Something gave us the spark, which allowed us to work together for common goals, to seek community, to strive to better our circumstances. In the end, maybe that's what matters, since we forged our own destiny, and we won so far.